Alright, so finally, after a long time waiting, we finally have AC Evo on our hands by in early access. Now, some people were actually not too happy with that, and especially on how the development roadmap looks like and how they plan to release updates after updates until the final release of the game. It's not like AC and ACC didn't have early access and didn't have their fair share of issues. So it's to be expected that AC Evo is also going to have some issues, but Kunos is going to have to do what they can to iron them out and make this game very good. Now, I finally got my hands on it, and I played quite a decent amount of hours, testing out some cars and a very small list of tracks. And on top of that, the list of tracks for the full release of the game, I mean, that's a very short list. Granted, modding will help with that, but I really hope that we get more in the future because, it would be great. So, to begin, let's see if this game, this sim, does exhibit that carpation. And we'll begin this initial thoughts review, not very scripted, but we'll begin that by talking about the graphics. So compared to AC, the graphics are, they're better. It's clear the polygon count, the 3D trees, the texture detail, and everything is a step above AC, even with mods. And that's good. In fact, that's great. We have dynamic clouds, dynamic weather, the whole shebang. If I have to compare the look of the game to the Madness engine, it looks good. It is very close. Each engine have their quirks in what makes one look a bit more quote-unquote realistic than the other, but they look great. And this sim can possibly take the first place as the best looking sim racing game out there. In comparison to GT7 though, I have to admit GT7 has a lot of parts that the game just looks absolutely phenomenal. It's like in the small little details. That's where GT7 really stands out. So I don't know how much effort Kunos is going to put in those small little details, such as the puddles, some track details, some car details. I don't know how deep they're going to go with it throughout the year, but I hope it comes very close, and especially by removing some of the jaggies, And compared to other sim racing games out there, like iRacing, LMU, etc., obviously it looks better than that. And if they have more cars that are also in those sims, that would be great. Now, about the graphics, especially compared to AC, one problem that I have would be the rain. The rain needs work. Sure, it's better than what GT7 has in terms of like the raindrops on the windshield, but it's worse than Drive Club, and it's still worse than the one in first place, which was made by modders in AC, which is crazy. We need better looking droplets, because on top of that in ACC, the droplets and the rain just looked terrible. It was horrible. And in comparison to AC, we need better droplets. The droplets need to look good on the rim screen. They need to behave realistically, and even on the windows on the side of the car, they need to behave realistically, just like in Assetto Corsa with mods. Not only that, the rain on the body of the car needs to also have an effect. It cannot be static. Right now it's static, and that's not good. So the rain effects definitely need a lot of work. And another part of the rain that needs a buttload amount of work is the spray. On iRacing, with what they did, the spray looks great. What Riza did with AMS2, especially after 1.6, the rain looks beautiful. The spray, And right now in the AC Evo, the spray is disgusting. So we need better looking spray, realistic spray at the same time. And also spray that doesn't really tank the performance as much, you know? We don't necessarily need to see the individual droplets, because in real life when there's a lot of spray, we don't really see individual droplets. We kind of see like, it's almost like a cloud. So, you know, the droplets are very small. And that's also one thing that I have to admit, the modders in AC, when they do the spray for the rain, it is also pretty bad. It's not that great. Now, the fact this is early access, so it is sort of to be expected, but the lack of particle effects is bothering me. Obviously, I'm pretty sure Konos is going to add that, such as tire smoke, grass, dirt, blah blah blah, etc., etc. But moving on to the next point that I have to make is the performance of the game. Now, my PC can actually handle it, so I was getting fairly good frame rate, but I still had some performance issues, stutters, 2 crashes, and it was interesting. So definitely there's a lot of optimization needed, and the fact that the frame rate, even though in some cases it would remain at a good steady 60 FPS, yes, I raced at 60 FPS, it would still dip at times, which is interesting. So that means people with weaker cards, and if they have a high refresh rate monitor, they're not going to be able to consistently run it at 90. So a lot of optimization is needed before the 1.0 release of the game. A lot of it. I'm pretty sure they can make it work, because this is their engine. It's not ACC. ACC, they never made it work. Performance is still just not great. And yeah, I don't want that. I want the game to look at its best and still have that performance, basically like the Madness engine. Make it like the Madness engine, because if it can look as good as the Madness engine, it still needs to run just as well, because the Madness engine is a performance beast. I don't know what Slightly Mad Studios did with that, but that's crazy. That is actually crazy. I just wish it had good physics. But oh well. We're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about AC Evo. The final point that I have on performance, please, oh please, I see the settings on the menu, and I don't want that. I want that deleted. Let's not rely on DLSS and frame generation. Come on. That is such a cheap way to say, hey, look, you can reach 200 FPS. Yeah, but my game will look worse. It objectively makes a game look worse. DLSS is terrible. Yes, Nvidia is improving DLSS, so you don't lose as much quality, but it still doesn't look like native 4K. So no, do not rely on DLSS. Just optimize your game. The next topic that I have is physics. Now, when I drove the first time, it was some time since I played AC, so I decided to do a side-by-side comparison. And the physics are actually quite similar to AC. And actually, it's similar but with more detail, which is impressive. With those physics on top of that, that makes Assetto Corsa Evo still a great simulator. They did not decide to make it more friendly and more arcade-like, to try and appeal to the masses, because let's be real, it's not going to appeal to the masses. We have people out there that would most likely play Need for Speed or Forza, or even people that are such casual gamers that they play NBA or FIFA or whatever, and here they are going into Assetto Corsa in the no hesi servers, doing whatever. The physics are still the same over there. Granted, I'm not gonna lie, no hesi, the tire grip is a bit ridiculous in some cars, but we're not here to talk about that. But like I said, these people, well, actually maybe not these people, but these people are not even the target audience. It's us. So don't try to alienate us. And so far, so good. Keep it up. Another thing, continuing on with physics, is actually the force feedback. Now, when I first booted up the game and I just decided to drive around with the card that they present to you in the menu with the Fiat, and also with some other cars, the force feedback had a lot of damping. A lot of, the detail was just not there. At first I thought, what did they do? So I look at the force feedback settings and I see there's a lot of damping like enabled. So I decided to just remove everything, leave it, I guess you could say, raw. And then when I drove with that, the force feedback was a lot closer to what it is with AC. And with that, I am very happy. It's not exactly like AC, I'm not gonna lie, but it's still great. Honestly, it's still very, very good. Now moving on from force feedback, the next topic that I have is AI. After trying a few quick races, I noticed that the AI is still extremely rough. Now, I know that they're mostly going to push for this game to be an online experience, especially with the Nürburgring, but they're still going to allow us to race against AI. And with that being said, we're going to need the AI to actually be able to race properly. Because I feel like the AI actually races worse than ACC. And the ACC AI is so simple. They barely defend. So they need to work a lot on the AI to make them good. At least it's not, I mean, I would say, it is slightly better than the AI in AC, but ever so slightly. The AI in AC is disgusting. They don't make sense. Either they're too quick if you put the difficulty too high, or they're not quick enough and they just drive like lunatics. That's basically the same for AC Evo, or whatever. Let's hope they work on that before the final release. The next point is sounds. The sounds in the game, I'm not gonna lie, is actually pretty great. They've taken a lot from ACC, so we hear a lot of detail. But I'm not gonna lie, some of the noises and the detail is a bit much. So I really hope that we can have a setting to tune the individual sounds and to make it sound a little bit, let's say, closer to what it would actually sound in a real car. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't even check those settings in the game. So I don't know if they have those individual tuning sounds to, like, tire sounds, gravel sound, collisions, whatever. I don't know. All these individual sounds to try and tune it to make it better. But yeah, next up after sounds is I decided to try the game out in the VR to see how good it is. And when I put on my headset in comparison to ACC, I could say that it is better, but the performance was still very choppy. The graphics, they looked okay. It wasn't perfect, but at least it looked better than ACC, but it's still way worse than AC. And AC, on top of that, with a bunch of mods, still performs great. Actually, even on top of that, with the Madness engine in AMS2, AMS2 still has the best graphics and performance in VR out of the box. I've never tried iRacing or whatever, but hey, iRacing doesn't exactly look like phenomenal. And it's so weird that you had the Madness engine. What is this engine? Anyways, I digress. VR needs work, a lot of it, and that's again going back to optimization to make the performance better. It basically, at the 1.0 release, the game better, and I mean, it has to. It has no other choice. It has to perform just as good as AC. It cannot be less. It cannot be close to ACC. It needs to perform just as well as AC. I should be able to extract maximum frames and play in VR with no issues with a full grid of cars. Especially if I've invested that much money on my computer. Optimize your game so I can actually enjoy it. Now, another thing, and this is no hate to Kronos, obviously. I love these guys. The game that they've made with AC, at first I didn't even fall in love with it. I fell in love with Project Cars before AC. But as soon as I touched AC, wow, these guys were onto something day one. So I love these guys. We all love these guys, and we want them to really make a great game out there because they have a lot of ambition and a lot of passion. So yeah, this is all to support. The extra points that I would like to make is the UI and user experience in the menus. It's disgusting. It's complete trash. I'm just gonna put it out there. It's just terrible. In ACC, it was already just as bad. I got kind of used to it, but it's not good at all. We need a menu that is simple. We don't need to be jumping from one window to the next or whatever. No. Keep everything right in front of our faces, because honestly, even other sims are struggling so hard on making a good menu screen. I don't get it. But what we should have is the settings are right in front of our faces, where the settings will open a window where we can, fiddle with the settings. There's the race that we want to do. Is it going to be practice? Is it going to be quick race? Is it going to be full weekend or something like that? And it's right in front of our face. We click on it. It will show us some options, and then we select the option we like. There's a car selection, and it doesn't, all of this happens within the same window. It doesn't like, oh, here's a new window. Like, I will show some examples, like, or what it does. No. Just make it appear on top of everything. And then when we click, it vanishes, and then here's our selection. Make it simple. Don't try to make it fancy. I don't know why they keep on trying to make it fancy and strange, because you make me jump from one screen to another, to another, to another. Why? I select one thing, bring me back. I select the other thing, bring me back. That's how it should be. So it needs work, and I really hope that they put in the work. I'll show some examples in the future, and we'll see if they maybe could see the video and implement those changes. If you guys think that those changes would be nice. So AC Evo, pretty decent early access. Since it launched early access as offline, we didn't experience any server issues, which is great. Unlike some other games that had some releases, it is what it is. It's pretty good. Sorry if this video is a bit long. Try to make it short, but I had a lot to talk about. So tell me your thoughts of what you think of AC Evo, if it's good, if you enjoyed it, if you experienced some issues, and let's really hope that Kunos really pulls this one off. I have full faith that they're gonna pull this one out. They're gonna do a good job. We just have to keep on supporting them, so like this they keep having the encouragement that they need to keep pushing, because there's a lot of patience going on there, a lot of God patience. So yeah, that's the end of this video. Like if you like, subscribe if you want to see more, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.